In 1989, assistant coach Steve Philipone would take over as head coach.
Coach Phil was kind of the young wild man.
That is a half of football that you can be proud of.
What is most apparent about Coach Philipone is his unbelievable passion.
Oh, his speeches would raise the hair on the back of your neck.
The great team, the team that will be great, the one that's going to go the distance, is going to come out and score 27 points on him in the third and fourth quarter.
It would just, he would get you going.
He, to me, was the classic motivator. I would still, probably to this day, if he called me up on the phone, I would still run through a wall for Coach Philipone.
There's a tremendous responsibility in my mind to continue the tradition. Remember, Larry took this program from nothing and got it to a state champion in less than a decade. I inherited that, and I really understood how much work went into doing it.
In 1989, Han would return one of its smallest teams with just 26 players.
You know, the predictions, it was funny. I went back, I've got a scrapbook with all the stuff, and I went back and I read them. And Ciotti left the program in good hands, obviously, but there were a lot of unknowns.
The thing that hurt the most was the guy at the register said, "The glory days of hand football are gone forever."
Han would respond by winning 9 regular season games and advancing to play Darien High School in the program's 8th state championship game.
Again, I don't even know how they played that game that night, or I don't know how we played that game that night. It was snowing, it was sleeting, it was awful weather.
Jim Devine and I lead the team out, and I see players that have played in years past and, won state championships. And, it impresses upon you what this game means to the team in the town of Madison.
What really got us set up was just the tradition. All week long we had Dave Thompson come back, Jim Bell came back, all the players came back. They talked about how important this occasion was and how you're representing your town and your program. And we came out of the locker room and we were flying high. We were about a mile high. It was really special.
Han would score 28 unanswered points in the first half and go on to win the program's 5th state championship game in Coach Philipone's first year.
The joy of winning a state championship is just a culmination of so much hard work by so many people.
The emotion for me was euphoria. It was just so special. We made that statement that hand football is still here, the right man is in place, and this is where it's going to stay.
The reality is we needed to put something on the field that our people, our town could be proud of. That's what I've always been concerned about. When our guys take the field on a Friday night and there's 1,000 people there to watch them and the band and everything else, I want people to walk out of the stadium going, I'm proud of those kids.
You're going to test your gut today, and you're going to come out winners, but you got to make it happen every snap. 48 minutes of a war, of fighting on a football field, of being a few people who are willing to take the chance, who are willing to stick it on the line and do it. Now, because you took that challenge, you got to make it happen. This is going to be a test of pride, and this is going to be a test of will. Who's paid the higher price to be here?
In 1990 and 1991, Han would post records of 8-2 and 6-5.
Pick it up a little bit, all right? Pick it up a little bit. Play as a team, we're going to win. I want to go to states. Let's go. We got every little kid in Madison watching you play. Somebody's looking at you every play. Don't let them down. Pick your heads up and be great football players and be great examples. Let's go.
Although they would miss the postseason, a sacred hand tradition would be born, involving the locker room that lives on till this day.
What we would do is we would have our music on and everything, and then there'd be a certain time somebody was responsible for putting Eye of the Tiger in. And this was when everything got very serious. And I can't describe it because everybody was on the same page at that moment. Once that music came on, we were all on the same page, and then the radio was shut off, and then Coach Phil and the other coaches would come down to the locker room. We'd all have our spot. We had a specific spot that we sat in on the benches, and then Coach would give us the speech.
All the things that matter are right here. All those other things out there are great. All those people, they're great.
But what really matters is just right here. Right here. This is what you play football for.
And then right after that, we'd exit the locker room and we'd take the trip around the building, and then we'd board the bus and you could hear a pin drop going to Strong Field, an absolute pin drop.
It was a great atmosphere because it was kind of two different worlds. You know, you go out for pregame, so there was no one around during the pregame. It was just kind of you in the stadium. Then you went back in the room. And then when you came back out, this was essentially our Friday Night Lights.
Every time you see an opposing team get off the bus for the first time down there, if you go down and watch pregame warm-ups, or if you're playing and you see your opponents get off the bus, they step off and they stop and they just look around. You got the ocean crashing right next to you. You got that breeze ripping off, especially later on in the fall. And yeah, there's nothing else like it in the state.
Magical, legendary. It's something you dream about when you're part of the youth football program. Again, it brings goosebumps just thinking about the players that played before you on that field, the success that teams had on that field. And it's something that when you're a player playing on Strong Field, you don't want to lose because you don't want to let down those that came before you.
When those lights went on, I really did believe that anything was possible. I felt like I was in some kind of dream world. You step on that field and the grass is groomed and the lines are white, and you know that this game in your life at that time means everything.
You would just get that chill. I mean, even talking about it, I get that chill. You would walk out, you would walk under the stadium, and that was almost like, I mean, going through a tunnel. You felt like you were playing in front of 50,000 people where there was just nowhere to be seen. It was just people all around. I mean, it was great.